You know, guys, I didn't know just how excited I was for this until I sat down today and I see the grin on this man Gojo's face. I'll tell you right now, I popped off and I immediately thought, oh, this is going to be a great season. This is going to be fantastic, man. First things first, let me just say the tone is so radically different from season 1. And I think I kind of like it more right now. This was a great first episode. It's kind of wild how one little scene can make me remember that, oh yeah, this is why I love Jujutsu Kaisen, man. Oh, I can't wait. So let's get straight into it today and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 1. Now, immediately as our episode begins, we get Geto. And all we see here is a defeated and broken man. Someone who's seen the worst of humanity, but is still moving forward. But immediately you can tell that he is radically different here than what we see in the rest of our episode. Some shit clearly went down. Now, I'm not a manga reader, guys, so I can't sit here and say, oh man, just wait till we get to this part. But judging from this opening right here, we're going to see some wild stuff, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's here we immediately move into a case as we see Jujutsu sorcerers are investigating a home of a former company president who used to manage a local chain of barbecue restaurants. But because of a case of mad cow disease that struck a fatal blow to his chain of restaurants, we see that he committed suicide with his entire family because they were buried under so much debt. What a depressing way to start our season. As we see from that point on, the house has been considered haunted. As we see that so many different people would come to this house because of that as a test of courage, and they would all go missing. As we see that a few familiar faces have been dispatched to deal with this situation. And it's here as we get to the house in question. I'll tell you guys right now, it sure as hell does look creepy. Definitely looks like a place that'd be haunted. And it's here as we see Mei and Utahime exploring this house. It straight up turns into a horror movie for a little bit, which I kind of dig. A goofy one as we go from room to room, but still building the tension a bit more. And it's here as they've been looking around, they notice something a bit strange. Mainly the fact that, oh, this hallway we've been in kind of goes on for eternity. We just keep looping and looping the entire time. As they start to realize, you know, maybe this place really does have more than meets the eye, to say the least. Now, this begs the question of, how would you deal with an infinite loop caused by the barrier put up by a spirit? Well, it's here Utahime realizes that, well, the intervals between the repetitions are not standardized, meaning that the barrier is actually just patching spaces together. So she theorizes that if they both run down the hallway at top speed, that at some point the barrier will break because the spirit will have too much to maintain inside of it, and it won't be able to keep them both concealed. One of them will break out. And it's here Mei tells her that she's about 90% right and actually says we should run in opposite directions because that will work much better. And it's here with their plan figured out, we see Utahime start sprinting down the hallway. But here's the kicker. It's here we see the house actually start imploding upon itself as she starts running for her life. And as the house is destroyed and the dust clears, who should we see atop the rubble but our boy Gojo, instantly ensuring that we're going to have a fire season. I can't wait already. Now, naturally, Utahime is not exactly happy about Gojo showing up here. Or the fact that she almost got crushed in the house, of course. Can't forget that part. And it also kind of adds insult to injury when Gojo doesn't even take out the spirit in the process of doing this. But don't worry, guys, because our boy Geto is actually here, and he takes out the spirit pretty easily. And it's here, you guessed it, Urahime is not exactly happy to see him either. The two idiots. Oh, but it's here when she meets Gojo's third party member, Shoko, who coincidentally kind of looks exactly the same as Nobara. Don't know if that's going to mean anything, but had to note that. She changes her tune real quickly. She actually likes her. Go figure. And it's here, guys, touching reunion aside, May kind of has to mention that, I don't think I see a veil over this area, to kind of hide it from the outside world so they don't know what happened here. I wonder what happened with that. And to that I say, well, let's just say accidents happen, guys, Some places just casually explode. Or at least, that's what the world needs to know. And let's just say our future principal of Jujutsu High isn't exactly pleased by this outcome. Now, this next scene of ours is actually really interesting to me as an anime only, guys, because we really see how Gojo and Geto are two very different people at this point in time than they are in the future. Like, very different. Because you see, Gojo apparently believes that protecting the weak is actually tedious, how it's kind of a waste of their time. How that it's actually weak people who assign reasons and responsibility to strength. That the people with strength make their own morals and rules. And how Geto believes that no, society is actually survival of the weakest. That the weak actually help each other and discourage those who are strong, and that it's a job of the Jujutsu sorcerers to maintain that order of people and to keep people calm and collected, because if they're in a panic, that will actually strengthen the spirits. So it's their job to make sure that doesn't happen no matter what and to maintain order. And I just find it so interesting that their core beliefs and ideologies are so different here as opposed to later on in our series. That some huge rift and some huge event had to come into their lives and dramatically change the both of them. I'd argue for the worse. And it makes me really interested to see where this little arc of ours is going to go. Now, I could be way off the mark there, and if I am, let me know in the comments, in a respectful and constructive way, of course, but let me know if I am off a little bit. But it's here to interrupt our little battle of ideologies. We see our eventual principal come in, and he has a mission for the two of them. And he states that it's from Tengen, who asked for them specifically. Now, their mission has two goals. And one of those goals is the Star Plasma Vessel. And that person is compatible with Tengen, who we'll get into in a little bit. And their job is to escort her to him so he can erase her. Now, why do they have to erase this girl, you might ask? Well, apparently Tengen possesses the cursed technique of immortality, but it's not exactly eternal youth. And after his body ages to a certain point, his cursed technique itself will begin to rewrite his body in the form of evolution. He'll cease to become human, and he'll become a higher form of existence instead. Now, as our boy Gojo asks himself, what's wrong with that, you might ask? But it's here according to Geto himself. He says, Tengen himself said, those who reach that state will have no will. Which means that obviously he would cease to be himself. And that's a very bad thing because all the Jujutsu schools, the barriers that form the foundation of Jujutsu society, the many barrier techniques of the assistant supervisors, are all being strengthened by Tengen. And without the aid of his power, they could hardly maintain security or clean up their messes after their missions. And in the worst case scenario, Tengen himself could become a threat to mankind. So because of that, every 500 years they have to find the Plasma Star Vessel, someone who's compatible with him, and let him assimilate them, overwriting the information of their body. And when he does that, he resets his curse technique back to the start, preventing evolution. So it's pretty safe to say this is a pretty important job, to say the least. And as we see our boy Gojo makes an anime reference, specifically Digimon, funny enough, we see that he's taking this situation very seriously. But you see, guys, nothing in life is ever truly easy. And this is no exception, as we learn that there are two other major groups after the Star Plasma Vessel's life. One of them being the Curse User Group Q, who seeks to upend Jujutsu Society with Tengen-sama's rampage. Basically, they want him to evolve and go out of control. And the other is the Star Religious Group, also known as the Time Vessel Association, which worships Tengen as a god. And seeing as how Tengen will assimilate the Star Vessel 2 days from this point, it's Gojo and Geto's job to protect the girl until then and ensure that she reaches Tengen safely. Oh, and if they don't do that, it will have dire repercussions even throughout normal society. So, no pressure, guys. And it's here as they're heading to the vessel's location, we see Geto and Gojo have a nice little chat with each other, as we see that Gojo is very confident they're going to pull this off without a hitch. And as we see Geto kind of taken aback by Gojo, he tells him, you know, I've wanted to tell you this for a long time, but maybe you should stop being so full of yourself. Something that I feel like will bite Gojo in the ass later down the line in the series. You know, I just have that hunch. And it's here as we see Geto get to the room where the Star Vessel is located. We see that he is greeted with the warmest of welcomes possible, by the room exploding, of course. As we actually see the vessel herself falling from the building as our boy Geto actually jumps out in a pretty damn cool scene, I gotta add, and saves her. As we end up meeting a member of Q, who goes by Kokun. And it's here, not wanting to be left out, of course, we see Gojo attacked by another member of Q who goes by Bayer. As he tells him, oh, so you're Gojo Satoru, huh? I hear you're pretty strong. As our boy Gojo essentially tells him, fuck around and find out. And our episode ends with a man named Fushiguro getting asked if he would like to participate in the assassination of the Star Plasma Vessel, which he basically just says, why not? Now, I'm not a manga reader, guys, like I told you. I'm really not. But I know who that character is. I know what he represents. And we'll just leave it at that for now. I'm very excited for future events down the line. We'll leave it at that. But man, guys, what a great episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Just throwing us in right away. And immediately, we just get a flashback to see Gojo and Geto's past, as we get to see how they were back in the day when they were still friends. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I watched the movie, I was very interested in the relationship between these two characters. Even throughout Season 1, you know, they have such a very deep past with each other that never got explored. So I'm very excited, legitimately very excited, to see it broken down and us really diving into it in this arc right here. I'm legitimately quite excited for that. Now, as you can see, I decided to do this video a little differently than I normally do, guys. You know, just try something out a bit. So let me know what you think of it down below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I would appreciate the feedback, personally. But also let me know how excited you are for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. I know people are going to be excited about this, but I'll tell you now, I haven't heard the end of the Shibuya arc. I can't stop hearing people talking about that shit's gonna be peak, man. And I will be the judge of that when we get to it. But for now, we got a dope-ass backstory that I am really enjoying. So let me know your thoughts on it down below. But until next time, guys, I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.